Do 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 do. Hey, how's it going? It's Nancy Gamon. My mother-in-law recently picked up this room divider at a thrift shop. It has 15 picture frames in it, and I thought it might be fun to create a whole series of kaleidoscope dyed fabrics to put in each frame. I'm starting with 15 pieces of 100% cotton muslin. They've been soaking in a soda ash solution for at least 10 minutes, and each one of these pieces is 8 by 10. So I'm going to fold them up into a kaleidoscope shape, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. If you'd like more details, you might like to watch my video how to make kaleidoscope dies. So since I want these to be vertical in orientation, I'm making my first fold lengthwise along the longest part of the fabric. And so I'm folding it in half that way, then folding it in half again, and then lifting one folded edge to match the side to create a triangle, and doing that 2 more times. And I'm just going to repeat that process with all 15 pieces of fabric until I have a whole series of little triangle fabrics. Now that all of the triangles are folded, I'm going to roll them up into a large cinnamon roll kind of a shape. I'm just going to use 5 triangles at a time, making 3 cinnamon rolls. So I'm lining up the edges that have many folds to them, leaving the side that just has a couple folds loose. And I'm just sticking in kind of the little tip of the triangle, just an inch or so, just enough to gather it as I roll it up. So I'll make 3 cinnamon roll shapes that contain 5 triangles each. As I complete each cinnamon roll shape, I'm going to wrap it with a small damp rag to help the fabric stay together and also to protect it from any spots that might occur during the dyeing process. Since I'll be sprinkling on powdered dye, sometimes not all of the powder completely liquefies, and just wrapping the fabric with a little bit of a protective rag will help keep any spots from forming. So now I'm just going to set these 3 shapes on my dyeing rack. I have a plastic tub here and a cooling rack on top of it, and then I just put a mailing envelope on top of that. Having a little piece of paper will help keep the ice from falling through the rack. The paper will get dyed at the same time, and so I'll have something extra pretty underneath it. So I've got these arranged on top, and now I'm going to cover them with a layer of ice. Now I'm ready to sprinkle on the dye, and I'm going to take 3 colors down the length of all 3 cinnamon rolls to tie them together. So I'm using a turquoise blue along one side, and I'm using chartreuse along the other, and then down the middle I'm sprinkling lemon yellow. And I want the finished pieces to coordinate but not match exactly, and so having something to tie them together will help with that initiative. And then I'm going to create stripes of different colors crossways to create some coordinated variety. So I'm using Chili Fuego for the red, and the pink is hot pink, and then the light purple is dragon fruit, and lastly I am sprinkling on orange sorbet. And so now I'm just going to let everything rest for about 22 hours. All right, let's unfold these beauties and see what we have in store. The next step is to rinse these out in cold water until the water runs clear. Then I'll wash them in hot water with textile detergent, rinse that out with cold water, and then let the fabric sit in hot water with a splash of Retain dye fixative for about 20 minutes. Then they're ready to rinse and dry. Now I'm ready to prepare the fabric for framing. Since the loose fabric would be all flippy-floppy in the frame, I'm going to adhere it to a stiff piece of paper so that it will give some weight and body to it and help it stand up in the frame nicely. The fabric does have two different sides, and I'm going to take the side that I don't care for so much, and I'm going to put the adhesive on that side. So I have a piece of double-sided fusible interfacing here that I've cut just a bit smaller than the fabric piece so that I don't have to worry about stickies going everywhere. And I'm just pressing this with a hot iron. I'm sorry, I know my ironing board is moving. I hope it won't make you dizzy. Until it feels like the glue is melted onto the fabric and that's nice and smooth. And then I'm just going to set it aside for a second to kind of cool down a little bit so that this wax paper backing will peel off easily. Then I'm going to flip it onto the paper, and this is a vellum Bristol that my art pal Brendelli and Tony gave me. It's nice and smooth, so there's no tooth or texture to the paper that might show up or add texture to the fabric. So it's stiff and smooth, and I'm just going to peel off the wax paper backing now from the fabric and get this kind of centered onto the paper. It doesn't have to line up exactly schmackly, but I do want it to be pretty square onto the paper so that it will be attractive in the frame. And then I'll just press that with the hot iron to melt the adhesive that's now between the fabric and the paper. And I'll repeat this process with all 15 of the fabrics, and then I'll arrange them in the room divider. Here's the completed room divider. I am very pleased with how it turned out. This is going to be a nice pop of color in my studio. If you'd like to experiment together, head on over to my website at nancygamon.com, where you can check out the current selection of workshops. Do